Most stores play a simple game. Buy a shirt for $5, sell it to you for $20. But the third largest retailer in the world flatly refuses to play it. They cap their markups at roughly 14%. On everything. They leave billions of dollars on the table on purpose. Yet somehow they still pull in nearly $240 billion a year. I am talking about Costco. And if you think their secret weapon is just selling massive jars of mayonnaise or cheap hot dogs, you are completely missing the real engine. To figure out how a bare-bones warehouse conquered the global retail market, we have to look closely at what they actually sell. Because the product that generates almost all their profit isn't on the shelves. Back in the 1970s, running a small business meant getting squeezed. If you owned a diner, you couldn't buy supplies cheaply. You were stuck paying premium prices to local middlemen. Then a guy named Saul Price had a wildly simple idea. In 1976, he opened a wholesale club inside a converted San Diego airplane hangar. He called it Price Club. The setup was completely bare bones. No decorations, just massive wooden pallets of goods stacked to the ceiling. But to shop there, business owners had to pay a $25 annual fee up front. That fee changed everything. It gave Price Club enough upfront cash to slash prices on the actual merchandise. By 1983, a former executive named Jim Sinegal and his partner Jeff Brotman took that blueprint up to Seattle. They opened a new store called Costco. They targeted businesses too, but made a crucial tweak. They eventually let regular families join the club for a small 5% surcharge. Suddenly, everyday people could access wholesale pricing. They just had to buy their paper towels and soap in massive industrial quantities. And it turns out, ordinary shoppers absolutely loved buying in bulk. The early growth was explosive. Costco claims they became the very first company in history to jump from 0 to $3 billion in sales in less than 6 years. The model was undeniably working, but growing fast doesn't automatically mean high profits. Remember that 14% markup limit? If you only charge pennies over cost, your overall profit margins stay incredibly thin. So how exactly does a giant warehouse chain make any real money if it barely profits on the items in your cart? This is the invisible gear turning the whole machine. Let's look at the actual balance sheet. Costco makes relatively little profit from the merchandise itself. The real moneymaker, the true financial engine, is that little piece of plastic in your wallet, the membership fee. Think of it like a cover charge at a club. In a recent year, membership dues made up over 72% of Costco's operating profit. They collect those fees from over 80 million paying members worldwide. That creates a massive pool of pure profit before a single jar of peanut butter is even sold. Because that cash is secured up front, they can afford to sell you a television or a tire almost at cost. It creates a brilliant flywheel. The cheaper the goods, the more people want to join. The more members they have, the more buying power Costco holds over its corporate suppliers. Think about a typical supermarket. It might stock around 30,000 different items. Walmart stocks well over 100,000. But a giant Costco warehouse? They only carry about 3,700 items. That limited selection gives them incredible leverage. When Costco tells a supplier they will only stock one type of ketchup, that supplier will immediately slash their wholesale price just to win that single spot. And if a brand won't drop their price, Costco just walks away. In 2009, Coca-Cola refused to meet their price targets, so Costco simply pulled Coke from their shelves until the beverage giant gave in. If they cannot find a good enough deal, they just make it themselves. That is exactly why they launched Kirkland Signature. It's their private label, and it is an absolute juggernaut. In just one recent year, Kirkland products brought in roughly $56 billion. That is nearly a quarter of Costco's total global sales. Suppliers actually fight to produce Kirkland items just to reach that audience. But hitting this massive scale took a few major strategic leaps. In late 1985, Costco went public. That IPO injected the essential capital they needed to build dozens of new warehouses across the country. Then, in 1993, they did something unprecedented. Costco merged with the original pioneer, Price Club. Overnight, they became a global titan, with over 200 combined locations and $16 billion in sales. Merging two massive cultures is normally a nightmare. For a few years, they awkwardly operated as Price Costco. But by 1997, they dropped the confusion, rebranded everything simply as Costco, and set their sights overseas. They pushed into Canada, Mexico, the UK, Japan, and Taiwan. The model translated surprisingly well in most places. People everywhere love a good bargain. But taking this concept global wasn't a guaranteed slam dunk. In fact, when Costco finally opened a physical store in the single largest consumer market on Earth, they ran into a cultural wall. The famous formula suddenly showed cracks. In August 2019, they launched their first physical warehouse in Shanghai, China. Opening day was wild. Massive crowds flooded the aisles, ringing up an estimated $3.7 million in sales immediately. It looked like a massive win. But within weeks, something concerning happened. Shoppers had used their memberships for a few initial grand opening deals, and then they just stopped coming back. Renewal rates dropped to around 60%. Local competitors offered seamless home delivery, services Costco neglected. It proved that dropping an American warehouse into a new country doesn't win loyalty without adapting to local habits. Back home, the pressure was mounting too. Amazon was reshaping how people buy bulk essentials online, and Walmart's Sam's Club was fiercely defending its turf. Costco was huge, but the giants were constantly attacking. They also started facing political headwinds. In 2018, aggressive US tariffs were slapped on imported goods. Costco eventually sued the government in 2025 to try and recover those massive costs. Then came the cultural battles. In 2024, a conservative activist group demanded Costco issue a special report on their diversity and equity initiatives, hoping to force a change in corporate policy. Costco's board flatly refused, publicly defending their inclusion programs. Shareholders overwhelmingly backed the company. During that same holiday season, Costco's foot traffic actually spiked. They held their ground without alienating their base. But their biggest recent battle wasn't against activists or tariffs. It was against their own customers. For years, people had been quietly borrowing a friend's card to shop without paying the annual fee, like sneaking into a movie theater. In 2024, Costco cracked down. They started aggressively scanning IDs at the entrances and registers. It was their version of the Netflix password sharing crackdown. If you wanted the bulk deals, you had to pay up. At the exact same time, they raised the basic membership fee from $60 to $65. It was a massive gamble. Would angry shoppers cancel their cards and run straight to Amazon or Sam's Club? The data rolled in. The crackdown actually fueled a surge in paid signups and strong renewals. They successfully squeezed more revenue out of their system, proving exactly how tightly hooked their customer base really is. Today, the company operates over 920 warehouses globally. They serve nearly 146 million cardholders, generating over $230 billion in annual sales. Their leadership transitions remain incredibly stable too. When longtime CEO Craig Jelinek stepped down recently, Ron Vakris took over. Vakris is a guy who literally started as a forklift driver for Price Club 40 years ago. That internal promotion signals one major thing to Wall Street. Costco isn't planning to fundamentally change its identity, but the executive team still faces a few massive unresolved questions about the future. The biggest hurdle is plain geography. Most US markets are heavily saturated with massive big box stores. To maintain their historic growth rates, Costco absolutely has to figure out international expansion. They also have an e-commerce problem. While digital sales are growing, their whole model relies on getting you into the physical warehouse. They need you walking past the big screen TVs to get to the cheap chickens. If shopping habits keep shifting entirely online, Costco's incredible physical efficiency loses its edge. Plus, their razor-thin margins leave them highly vulnerable to sudden jumps in inflation or supply chain chaos. So how will they survive an era of instant delivery and endless online variety? It comes back to that initial paradox: why we happily pay them for the privilege of walking onto their concrete floors. Costco doesn't compete on endless selection or store aesthetics. They realized decades ago that consumers are exhausted by constantly comparing prices and worrying if they are getting ripped off. When they enforce that 14% markup limit, they remove the mental friction of shopping. You never have to wonder if a Kirkland item is actually a good deal. You already know it is. That is the real product. Costco isn't just a grocery store. They act like a bodyguard for your wallet. You pay them $65 a year, and in exchange, they aggressively protect you from high markups. In a retail world obsessed with extracting every last cent from every single transaction, Costco built a multi-billion-dollar empire by choosing not to. High trust scales much faster than high margins. I've studied companies for a long time, and that kind of discipline is rare. Keep your own standards high and your deals honest. Be well.